I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
We want you to come to New York, you and your wife. Behind the mask of power.
John Milk. Kevin Lomax.
We're currently representing 25 foreign countries. Behind the facade of wealth.
Want to come upstairs and
lies seduction.
I don't like it here, Kevin.
He's into everything. Money laundering for the Eastern Bloc.
Temptation.
Drug cases, murder.
Corruption. Keanu Reeves.
Who are you?
Al Pacino. The Devil's Advocate.
Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. This is a paid Patreon request, this time for Advent, as for The Devil's Advocate from 1997. A film I've always liked. Granted, I always felt it was a bit too long. I don't think it needs to be 2.5 hours long. But it's a nice mix of lawyer, courtroom drama, thriller aspect mixed in with a horror supernatural aspect. It's a nice interesting blend of the two, because Keanu Reeves is a successful lawyer who has never lost a case. He is with Charlize Theron, so it's funny, John Wick and A Time of Blonde are in a film together. It's not the only time they've been in a film together too. They were in another one, I forget, it was called Sweet November, or I forget the name of it. Anyway, they get an opportunity to come to New York and help with this firm led by Al Pacino. And as soon as he gets there, he gets this big case. He gets a few other cases, one including this guy who seems like he deals with voodoo, played by Gilroy. But then the big case is this murder case where the suspect is Craig T. Nelson from Poltergeist, among others. And he's very driven and very busy with it, to the point that his wife, his love of his life, Charlize Theron, is always left alone, and seems like she's getting more and more crazy while there. Meanwhile, Keanu Reeves is being tempted more and more into this lifestyle of Al Pacino's world of money and riches and women and slutty women, and it's ultimately for a much bigger deal, because as the title suggests, Al Pacino is the devil. And that's the thing, when you got Al Pacino and you cast him as the devil, it's hard to lose with that fucking concept. And Al Pacino is having a ball. It's one of his most fun performances. I mean, just the finale when he's giving all these speeches. I can't do it verbatim, so I had to write them down, because I love these so much. God, is that it, God? Well, I'll tell you. Let me give you a little inside information about God. God likes to watch. He's a prankster. Think about it. He gives man instincts. He gives you this extraordinary gift, and then what does he do? I swear, for his own amusement, his own private cosmic gag reel, he sets the rules in opposition. It's the goof of all time. Look, but don't touch. Touch, but don't taste. Taste, don't swallow. While you're jumping from one foot to the next, what's he doing? He's laughing his sick fucking ass off. He's a tight ass. He's a sadist. He's an absentee landlord. Worship that? Never. And then Keanu goes, better reign in hell than serve in heaven. Is that it? Why not? I'm here on the ground with my nose in it since the whole thing began. I've nurtured every sensation man's inspired to have. I cared about what he wanted. I never jumped him. Why? Because I never rejected him in spite of all his perfections. I'm a fan of man. I'm a humanist. Maybe the last humanist. I mean, Kevin, no one in their right mind could possibly deny that the 20th century was entirely mine. All of it. I'm peaking, Kevin. It's my time now. It's our time now. Now, of course, Al Pacino did that a whole lot better than I could have. I mean, you say he's eating the scenery, but when you're playing the devil, isn't that kind of to be expected? If you imagine Al Pacino as the devil, that's what I want. I want the big performance that you would see in, say, Scarface, which is my favorite Pacino film and my favorite performance. This is in my top 5 favorite Pacino performances because he's having so much fun being evil. And there's a nice heart to it because Keanu Reeves, who I think does a good job. Some people didn't buy his southern accent. I was perfectly fine with it. I thought Keanu did a really solid job. Granted, I'm a fan of Keanu. I love the John Wick films, the Matrix films, Speed, Constantine, among others. I bought his relationship with Charlize Theron. I felt sorry for Charlize and how people thought she was schizo, but she kept seeing things because she was being fucked with. And then she gets afraid, like, you don't leave me, aren't to Keanu, you don't leave me, aren't you? And sadly you realize that Keanu, he's been more and more centered on trying to be the successful lawyer that never loses track of the well-being of the mindset of his wife, to the point that she's in an institution and she looks over and says, I love you. Well, actually more like this. And I thought Keanu Reeves did a wonderful job. People would think it's laughable, his performance, but I thought it was genuine. How desperate he's trying to get through the door, and how upset and sad, and his crying. Some people would laugh at that. I thought the opposite. I thought it was a very genuine reaction, and heartfelt, and emotional, as it should be. And by how ultimately he does take responsibility for that. So it makes, even though you can see, well, man, he's not paying attention to the love of his life, that's really shitty. But I thought the movie did it in a way where I still never hated Keanu Reeves' character. It's more like, but I thought it was handled the right way, because if you handle it the wrong way, you can make Keanu Reeves' character very, very unlikable, and I never felt that way. Other people in the film, you got Jeffrey Jones, his pedo ass, but he does get the shit kicked out of him, beaten to death by a bunch of hobos, so there's that. It's well shot. I love the architecture, almost ancient looking architecture of Al Pacino's place. So I thought the art direction was very nicely done. There's a couple moments of effects that are not too bad. Like there's a moment where Keanu Reeves is walking down the street and is pulled back. It looks like there's nobody else in the city. It kind of made me go, how did they do that scene? I'd be really interested. Like, how did they do that scene? Because sadly, this movie doesn't really have new interviews. Like, has Keanu Reeves ever talked about this film or Pacino afterward? I mean, right when the movie came out, but I mean afterward. Has Keanu or anyone ever brought this film up? I'm not the only one that likes it. It gets a good rating on IMDb. For good reason, because, again, it's an interesting blend of horror, supernatural, and courtroom drama. I think another person you have, I swear it was Laura Harrington, who I remember as the lady who would fall in love with Emilio Estevez in Maximum Overdrive. I think she's the one who goes on the stand to help Craig T. Nelson's case, even though she fucking lied. But that's the point. It's the temptation where Keanu wants to win, so he puts her on the stand even though he knows she's lying. And I thought the ending was interesting. Like, spoiler alert with the ending. Starting now, spoilers. I thought it was interesting how, free choice, huh? And then he shoots himself, and then everything goes back to the beginning, so everything's fine, but it also gives a little question mark of that little hint of temptation. As Pacino says, vanity, my favorite sin. I thought that was a nice touch that ends with Painted Black by Rolling Stones. That was a nice little touch. I like that song. Again, I don't know if you needed the film to be 2.5 hours long. Like, for example, as much as I like seeing Delroy Lindo, I don't think you needed any of his bits in the movie. I don't think you needed Keanu visiting Delroy Lindo, who's in this big animal ton type thing he's cutting up, or the trial where his religious beliefs, and then one guy, he keeps coughing, so you get the idea that's what the whole thing. It was fine, but at the same time, I don't know if you actually really needed. It was really that needed. I mean, we already established that this firm likes what he's doing when he pitched this jury out, and this jury works out well for this one case, and then they bring him into the fold. I'm just looking for areas that I think 15 or so minutes could have been shaved off of the running time. But like I said, what kept it going was, I thought Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino did a really good job, as well as Charlize Theron. Did nice to see people like Craig T. Nelson in there. I thought the ending made the build-up worth it, because you got to see Al Pacino just go for it. Just go for broke. And then say, yeah, Constantine, it's not the first time he gave this is the first time he gave a fuck you to the devil. And then later on with Constantine, he literally gave a fuck you to the devil. So it's like this Keanu Reeves, maybe the only guy who said fuck you to the devil twice. In this one, and Constantine. That's how badass Keanu Reeves is. He said fuck you to the devil twice. In 2 movies. But yeah, The Devil's Advocate, worth a look. Interesting take on the subject material. Solid film. I don't want to give too much away. If you like Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino, you like Charlize Theron, it has got some nice emotional moments. I wouldn't say horror as in it was ever scary. It was never scary or creepy. I'll say that. It was labeled as a horror film. Again, there's never any moments that was creepy or scary. So if it was trying to be that, I would say it failed on that aspect. But overall, it's interesting to see on a story and acting level. Again, I do think the runtime could be tightened up a bit. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.